education system was one of the most devastating impacts in the pandemic. Education is so important for critical thinking and the development of the mind. When the education system is changed by major effects like COVID, it can have major effects on students and teachers. It's important to be aware of what causes these disruptions to the education system so that they can be resolved later on. As a future educator, I'm going to talk about how COVID has impacted the education system, and hopefully you can agree, based on how it's affected the mental health of students, how online learning has affected students, and how the academic performance of students has been affected. So first, let's talk about the mental health of students and how it's been impacted by COVID. During COVID and the pandemic, there was a complete lack of social interaction, and relationships between individuals were interrupted by social isolation. Even today, some people still practice social distancing measures, such as wearing masks or staying at home and working from home. In a journal written by several doctors from the Department of Human Development and Human Studies from 2023, they came together to create a journal about mental health and its effects. They highlight that one of the leading factors to negative mental health is social isolation. They continue to say that social isolation can lead to depression, anxiety, and even other negative mental health conditions such as eating disorders or addictive behaviors. Some students still resort to social isolation, which has shown that it's still affecting their social life in school and in public. Several doctors from the library, from the Library Philosophy and Practice from 2022, several researchers wrote that several schools around, not just the country but around the world, were shut down, leading to 1.2 billion students being out of the classroom. Some schools around the country have even shown to not have effects on students not only have negative mental health, but it's also shown higher rates of violence and misbehavior in the classroom. So one of the leading factors to social isolation during COVID was online learning. However, there can be several benefits to online learning, and this is highlighted in a journal written by graduate student Viana Med in 2022. She says that online learning can create several opportunities for students, but also teachers. She claims that online learning the internet relating to education can provide resources and tools 24/7, which also allows for students and teachers to get their work done more conveniently. It also allows students to broaden their interests outside of the classroom, and for teachers, it also allows them to use tools, sources, apps to be able to create lesson plans and different activities to help the students become engaged and help learn. While there are many benefits to online learning, there are also several complications that have shown to affect students today. Teachers, when the pandemic first started, teachers weren't prepared and they weren't ready for the online resources that they were required to use or that their school system gave them to teach their students. Students and even parents weren't familiar with the resources that they were required to use to learn at home. Several doctors from the Journal of School Wealth from 2023 wrote that some households didn't even have access to the online resources that they were required to use at home. It reported in 2020 that 17% of households just in Georgia lacked internet or a computer to use for school. In another article written by graduate student Viana Med in 2022, she claims that some students, because they were learning online, they misinterpreted some of the information that they were supposed to learn in class. Because they lacked that face-to-face communication with their teacher, most students don't like to ask questions and they don't like to ask for clarification, especially for online learning. They don't want to be the only one on the Zoom call that speaks, So they learn false information, but they're supposed to be learning something else. So due to online learning and several other factors from COVID, it's been shown that the academic performance of students has been affected over time. In schools around the world, there have been failures in reaching academic goals And according to several doctors from the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health from 2022, a study was done to compare test results from before COVID and after. They did a study with 120 medical students from a school in Las Vegas to compare these results. It showed that today, the test scores were reported much lower today than they were before COVID. From the journal The Northwest Evaluation Association, several doctors came together to write an article in 2022 about how education was affected during the pandemic. They looked at the academic achievements of students and younger students, mainly from first grade through high school. They looked at grades 3rd through 8th, and in 2021, they saw that math test scores were 0.2 through 0.27 standard deviations lower than they were in 2019, showing that students that their academic performance is suffering. So after talking about how COVID has impacted the education system, hopefully you can agree with me it's being negatively impacted. Talked about the mental health of the students and how it's been affected over time, how online learning has affected teachers and students, and how it's had a lasting impact on the academic performance of students around the world. Education is super, super important, and unfortunately it's really struggling right now. So I want you to think about what it was like when COVID happened, what you went through, when you went online, you didn't see your friends at school. I think it's super important that we come together to try and create problems to solve this issue, because we need to help the future generations by creating a better education system.